All right, guys, welcome to a new episode of the Win by Two podcast. My name is Fraol. It's on my left. Under me, I have Dee. To the side, I got Nikola.
What's up,
We
guys?
got a few topics for y'all. So yeah, let's hit it. Okay, so Draymond Green is in the news, right?
What's new?
He's talking. True. He's talking about there being a double standard for how players are treated versus basically how like the coaches treat them or the organization is treating them. So, yeah, what's your take on that, you guys?
Go ahead, Nick. Take it away.
I sort of want to go in on this, so I almost want to have someone else start first.
Okay, I don't mind. The double standard thing. Honestly, I saw the interview maybe once, but I still know, what he's talking about. And he was comparing Andre Drummond with the James Harden situation. And it's interesting because I can see how he kind of like he has a point in a way. Like it's the way the NBA works is pretty much like it's your job. Like your job is to show up, play games, no matter what, even if rumors, trade talk rumors, you're about to get traded, you still have to play for that team. And I guess he was saying that's unfair how we have to stay in shape, or they have to stay in shape. They have to show up to the games, I guess, and just accept it. But if someone like James Harden wants to get traded or request a trade, it's just a big issue. Like everyone's looking at him a certain way. So pretty much he's saying like, oh, it's unfair how no one's talking about the Cavs just all of a sudden just not, just we're gonna ship you off, whatever. But you still gotta be in shape and stuff. But for James Harden, it's like, oh yeah, you're not, he's not really trying these games and he's getting criticized. I mean, it's interesting. It's 50-50 to me. I think I do agree that it's a little unfair. At the end of the day, the NBA has power over the players, for the most part. And I mean, I don't know, but I kind of get what he's saying too, because it's like you're like a robot. Like you just have to do whatever they want you to do. But at the same time, I do think it's messed up how you just have no say at all. But unfortunately, what these NBA players need to realize is this is your job. Like you're getting paid millions and millions and millions. Like at the end of the day, like it's a business. Like,
I think he even said that in the interview. He said it's a business like 3 times.
Oh, damn, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Like I only saw the interview once. I'm like, I forgot exactly what he said, but yeah, even he said it's a business. Like at the end of the day, like what can you do about it?
Right.
Like it's really not much a player can do. What are you going to do? Retire? You're going to complain? What is that going to do? you still get traded. They don't care about. No offense, they don't really care about the player unless you're on that team and you're trying to help them win. It's the organization. Once you're in a different team, they don't care about you. Like they're making money off you. They're making money off you, and it's. I understand how his point of view, like he wants to get the point across, but it's not going to do anything in the future. At the end of the day, he needs to understand, and a lot of these players need to understand that the NBA controls these players because they know they're paying the players. And this is your job. You sign a contract. This is something you have to do. So like, I don't feel bad for Andre Drummond. Like, did he? If I'm wrong, correct me. But he didn't request a trade, right? It was just like the team they said, okay, you're going to sit out until we get a trade going on.
Yep. Team
So
said,
I'm not sure.
we done.
Yeah, so
with this.
we're done with this. I mean, they had like 3 centers, so it's like, I mean, what was you going to do with that? But yeah, they're like, we're done with this dude. Like and I'm not sure if he wanted to stay in Cleveland. I'm not sure, but if he did, it's a business, man. Like, it's a business.
Yeah.
And in James Harden's side of it, it's like he wanted to leave. He said, I don't care. He even announced it publicly in interviews, like, yeah, I don't know how we're gonna make this work, but I can't be here. I need to get traded. And he got criticized for that, blah blah. So my whole point is Draymond has always been a guy to like voice his opinion, and I appreciate it because a lot of players just take the high road and they just don't say much, like okay, cool, whatever, just answer the questions and move on. So I can kind of respect Draymond for voicing his opinion to some degree, but at the end of the day, Draymond and the rest of the players, is nothing you can do, man. I mean, you just have to ignore the noise and do your job. Like, you're not going to win this battle. You're not going to win it.
I will add, though, the one thing that they could technically do is they could make a players league. Like, they can make their own league. They could say F the NBA. Like, let's start our own league.
Wasn't Kyrie trying to do that at some point, like last year?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing the whole like protest thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was like trying to, actually thinking about doing that. That's actually a good point. I actually forgot about that. They could do that.
If Kyrie made a league, though, like no one would play, right? No one would play because it's Kyrie's league. Or
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how it would work.
How would the money situation work? Like, how would players get paid?
You get paid in Sage,
right? Yeah.
Like, they just have one court. It's like if you show up, you get paid.
I feel like if Kyrie had a league, there'd be like game breakers. Like you can like you can just start doing skill moves. You start getting points for it.
Yeah.
So Nikola,
that's a good point. That's a good point, Nikola, that you brought up. Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think about the Draymond situation?
Yeah. So I see where Draymond's coming from. Like, when I try to put myself in these players' shoes, I see what he's talking about. Like, he has all these like rich white people like telling him what he has to do and like how he has to act. And he brought it up in his interview where he was like, we make so much money for the league, like I get paid this much, yet the owners get paid 10 times as much. Mm-hmm. So I see where he's coming from. I get the frustration that, there's this double standard where, a player demands a trade, they get attacked, a team can do the same thing and no one says anything. Mm-hmm. Again, I get that. I get as a player how that's frustrating, that's annoying, it doesn't make sense from their point of view. And, on top of all that, they got all these players wearing masks for no fucking reason on the bench. It's like, can you at least let us breathe? Like, while we're on the bench? I don't get it. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll do the NBA, the owners will do anything to protect their image. Like, even if it's like, making the players do stupid stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, they'll do it. They don't care.
Wasn't there a situation where, who was it? 2 players got separated from each other. They were trying to embrace. I think it was like Bam and somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but they weren't wearing masks. Like, I think what the NBA's thing, what they were saying were like, oh, these 2 guys weren't wearing masks, so they weren't able to embrace at the end of the game. Right. And it's like we just played a whole game together. Like, we sweat on each other, and we were, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
And real quick, I just want to bring up a quick point, like what Nikola was like, to piggyback what Nikola was saying about the mask on the bench. Like, I never understood that because, I'm not 100% sure how Corona works, but what's the point of wearing a mask on the bench when you're going to get in the game to play, and players are yelling anyway? It's like
they
it's
pull
like
their mask down. The coaches do it too. They'll pull it down. Be like,
I never understood that. Like, what's the point? Like, you're defeating the whole purpose of pulling your mask down to say something. Like,
yeah.
that's the whole point, to keep it above your nose. But
Right.
yeah, it goes back to the image look of it.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to Draymond. So with that aspect of it, I get it, and like you said, I appreciate that he's being vocal. He's out there trying to state his case that this stuff doesn't make sense. It's not fair. But I always got to throw in a but in there. Nice female butt. I don't go that way.
we ain't on that. Yeah. Respect to all that, but
right. So I think that when Draymond comes out and says stuff like this, it makes me think. No disrespect to Draymond, but it makes me think that this dude has never had a real job before the NBA. It's like, have you worked before? When he was like, when he was like, the owners make 10 times more than us. Like, yeah. Have you had a boss?
Job?
It's called managers.
Have you had a manager?
A boss.
Like, what did you think would happen?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing that doesn't make sense to me is when everyone's getting on like a superstar or just like a regular player who's demanding a trade, it's not like other players. It's not the teams who are like bashing this dude for demanding a trade. It's the fan. The fans.
Yeah.
Social media, Twitter, they're all shitting on this dude. Like, oh, look at him demanding a trade. He's quitting on his team. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, the teams aren't doing that.
Right.
So if you're gonna call out people, don't call out the teams. Call out the fans.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And
yeah.
And yeah, so and like D said, you signed a contract. This isn't a buddy relationship. It's an employer-employee relationship. You're getting paid to do something. So, you want the ultimate freedom. You want to be able to do whatever you want. You want whatever. You want to get rid of this double standard. It's just not. It's not possible how it's constructed right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Draymond, please don't attack me. I know you're way bigger than me and all that stuff, but like, I know you mad at the system, but hey, man, welcome to the real world. We all dealing with this shit. So,
yeah. And if you wants to discuss it, come to the podcast, Draymond. We can talk about it.
So it's I agree with what you're saying, Nikola. Like, with Draymond, it's like you gotta wonder, like, what result does he want out of this? Like, what do you get out of saying this
Nothing's
to the
gonna
NBA?
happen.
Exactly, right? So it's like, would like Dee, you were mentioning, or Nikola was about the all players league, right? Like the players starting their own league. Okay, but it's not as easy as that sounds. And
exactly.
And more than not, the same levels of corruption that would happen that are happening in the NBA would happen in those leagues. That's just how organizations are constructed. So, you're not making as much money, just all these different things. You're right. He's just talking about fans' perception. Like, look, it's not fair, but I don't know. Has anybody brought up a solution to that? Like, how does Draymond Green or how does James Harden not get hate? Like,
it's impossible.
That's what I'm saying. Is that the question we're asking? Like, so
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate. I mean, if he's saying it to bring attention to it, I respect that. Like, just cover your bases, say what's going on, and maybe something changes. But yeah, look, for NBA players, the reality is you guys don't have equity in the league. There's no you're just like you were saying, Nicole, like you're just an employee. In a lot of ways, you're their product in a sense. Like you're not obviously you're not, but you're like a contractor.
Just to put in. Now, I will say, even though it is employer relationship, like there does still need to be like a mutual respect. So
Absolutely.
that's one of the things that I agree with Draymond with, like, as far as if you're gonna get traded, at least if you, as an owner, have the respect to like let the guy know before you tell anyone else, like before you leak it out to the media, and like give them a few days, maybe a couple weeks to be like, hey, you might have to relocate your family, get all your business in order. So, that's where I agree with Draymond. Like there could be some more, mutual respect between the two parties, but that's not going to stop James Harden from getting fat, throwing his team under the bus. But you get my point.
But he, and I like how James Harden is used as the example, but he won.
Yeah, he got what he wanted.
He got what he wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. The superstars, they pretty much always get what they want at the end of the day. They still have the leverage.
Yeah.
Right. And it is, and I guess, if he's talking about the perception that these teams are putting on these players, like there is, I guess what he's saying is the fans will say something, but the teams won't correct it. Like, for example, if James Harden is having contract issues with the Rockets, the Rockets won't come out and say, hey, it's not like the media is saying it is, because it's actually helpful for them, for their negotiation. It's helpful because James Harden is getting painted in a bad light, which would in a sense lower his value in the market. But there's that. So obviously the teams have the incentive to not even like care, or like even better, they may look, if it comes out that they're fabricating some of this and they're behind it, then that's a problem. That's a huge problem. If they were somehow in cahoots, and I know they are, like, and we need to do a section on this. Where does Woj get his information from? What is that? Yeah. Like, how does he know?
That's what I'm talking about. Like it's the team. The organization will come out, leak something to him, like before they even tell the player.
Yeah, he's like the dude.
That's a weird thing.
That is a weird thing. That's where I agree with. That's what I was just talking about. Like where I agree with Draymond. The team needs to act responsible. Players need to act professional. Everyone needs to be professional. You can't be leaking stuff to the media and be like, oh yeah, you're leaving in the middle of dude, like whatever. He's at the grocery store and he sees the TV, like, oh, you got traded, you bum ass.
Yeah.
Like
TMZ.
Right.
And they're just, how did they get all the information? They're just always on it. Always the first source.
Yeah. And there's incentive. The thing is, there is incentive to put out that kind of information, obviously, for many reasons. I mean, there's clicks, you make money off that. Like I mentioned, the value of that player can go down, so it could help their negotiation. Like, let's say it's not James Harden, but it's like, I don't know, Waba or whatever, that guy on Houston, right? Yeah. On Houston, right? If it's him and it's coming out that he's not a good teammate and all this stuff, that can hurt his chances of getting signed with another team. And then now he would have to take the subpar contract that Houston is offering him. So if that's the case, that's like, okay, that's not cool. But again, that's the bigger issue. So if he's shining light on that, I'm 100% for him. But if you're just here to complain about whatever the fans think, then, miss me with that. But so speaking of, I don't know how to do this transition. This is a hard transition, but let's just transition to AD. So AD had an apparent Achilles injury. Turns out it was a
I like that you had the apparent.
Right. And here's the thing, right? It's reminiscent of KD, of what happened with Kevin Durant. And obviously we know how that happened. Was that the 2019 season when he came back too early in the playoffs and then eventually ended up tearing his Achilles injury.
Yeah.
He re-injured his Achilles. Obviously for the Lakers, that's the biggest risk. So what do the Lakers do in this situation? And what's the prospect of the Lakers without KD? Nikola, you want to
But
start?
AD.
AD,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah. If I'm the Lakers, I'm resting this dude till the All-Star break, no question. I wouldn't even think about it. I just start it right now. Don't even worry about coming back. Get yourself right. And the reason I say that is because the prospect without AD is bad. It's bad. I think instantly they pretty much have no shot of winning the championship without AD. So I think they need to take the safe approach on this. No question. I don't know why they're saying 2 to 3 weeks. Doesn't even really make sense to me. And if my understanding is correct, it's like he went from a sore Achilles to a sore calf. So it's like that alone is a little worrisome for me because it's almost like a structural. I don't want to call it a structural breakdown. It's not like the dude tore his Achilles already, but it's a little worrisome how almost like your pain is shifting. You can't exactly target what's going on. It's almost like this is gonna be like a lingering, injury that can reflare. So it's a little scary. It's the type of thing that I'm like, squash this as much as you can. Take no risk. You need this dude. Your championship hopes fly out the window if you don't have him, in my opinion.
D?
Yeah, and I think Nikola just nailed it right in the coffin. I mean, I completely agree. I don't I don't think Achilles. Thank God, never had an Achilles injury. I can only imagine how painful and how hard it is to rehab for it and come back to play in a professional sport and be productive. Like when Nikola said, I don't see AD. I'm sorry, I don't see the Lakers winning a championship without AD. I don't see it. Um, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. I think they can still win some games without him. Would it still be in the playoff hunt, of course? Because it doesn't matter. Like, of course, you want to be first, second seed, third seed. But if you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs. And I think having your best player ready, healthy for the playoffs is more important than trying to rush him back 2 or 3 weeks after for what? To get first seed, second seed, to maintain it. I just don't see the point. I'm starting to notice a lot of teams now, they're starting to take injuries more serious where, like, for example, Jared Jackson, he was projected back like around February.
Love this dude.
Yeah, like he's a monster.
He's always talking about Jared Jackson.
I know, he's on my fantasy team, man. And he's a good example.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got hurt last year. Forgot what the injury was exactly, but it was a pretty major injury. He had to get surgery for it, and they could have, he's projected back January, February, and they keep holding it off to March after the All-Star break. Maybe even April. And I think that's very smart for Memphis because they understand that if they're in the playoffs, they're going to need this guy to advance, past the first round, maybe second round. So they're not rushing him back to get a higher seed. Take your time, AD's LeBron's a beast, of course, no question about that. But AD's just as important to the team. And without AD, I mean, Kuzma, I'm not trusting Kuzma. I'm not trusting Montrezl Harrell. I'm not trusting Marc Gasol. I'm not trusting those guys to step up to replace AD's production. So, I would just rest him until he feels close to 100%. Maybe after All-Star break, maybe even longer. It doesn't take as much time. He needs to take as much time as he needs to rest until he feels healthy enough to be like, okay, I'm good. I can play. There's no point. Don't rush him. Can the Lakers? Yeah. Can the Lakers do anything in the playoffs without AD? No. It's just not going to happen. Maybe the first round, depends who they play. Maybe the first round, second round, no. I don't see it. They need this guy to make another championship run, 100%. Don't rush him. There's no point. You know, you got people from the free agency in the offseason for a reason. They have to step up now. Dennis Schroeder, Harrell. Didn't they get somebody else? I forgot.
Uh-oh. That's not a good sign for the Lakers.
Dang. I mean, they just
they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it by committee. It's like
they all have to split the production.
And the thing that I'm also, I'm going to be watching closely and I'm very curious just about in general is how is LeBron going to look without a number 2?
That's what I was going to say. Yep.
LeBron is going to have to go back to scoring points. He can't.
Isn't there a risk in that? Because isn't the risk going to diminish LeBron?
It is
right.
A risk.
If you're going to work LeBron too much, like
it is a risk.
You can have neither of them. So
that's why.
Does AD come back quicker just to help LeBron?
I still think. I think you see how it goes in the beginning. Like have LeBron keep the same. He's been getting minutes, but don't have him.
LeBron's killing it.
He is killing it.
LeBron is killing it. I was looking at Barrick. I was looking at your fantasy with LeBron. I was like, what? This dude is like, he's the top. We're not really a fantasy podcast, but he's like the top shooting guard or small forward in fantasy.
Yeah.
He's already playing he's playing his best basketball. It's like,
I have Luka, so maybe second. I'm just throwing it out there.
Point guard,
point forward. I can put him in the small forward slot.
Point forward, he can do that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but it's like I think LeBron's playing better. But anyways,
whoa,
that's a different topic. That's a whole different topic. But yeah, like LeBron's already playing his best, right? Like in some ways, you could say this is the best he's ever played in his career. So it's like, I know obviously it's a step up, but how much could the Lakers expect out of him at this point?
I think he just
he's do more.
I think. I mean, he's gonna do.
He needs to. He needs to.
I mean, yeah.
Who's going unless the Lakers some hidden depth, some people step up. LeBron's gonna need to carry a much heavier load over these next couple weeks.
And y'all think he can?
I mean,
without injury,
it depends on what you. I'm not gonna say he's gonna wear down. I mean, he's been tough as hell his whole career. I don't think he'll wear down. Whether the Lakers will be winning games as much as they were at the start of the season, I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah, and they can actually slip in the standings a little bit. So, it's not. I understand why the Lakers want to bring him back so fast. AD, they don't want to lose one of those top seeds. But this is the situation now. It's like, do you sacrifice now to get a better seed for the playoffs, or would you rather be a lower seed and be healthy for the playoffs? And you gotta hope LeBron holds up. You gotta hope the chemistry stays the same, all that stuff. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
we
will see. But so you made a mention of it, but the Lakers slipping in the standings is crazy because the West now is so close. It's so close. It's, what is it, 8 games apart? All the top teams from 1 to 8 are 8 games apart. This actually extends more into that conversation, but and we'll use this as shift to the next conversation. But are we talking about Lakers even making the playoffs? Is that like?
Oh,
I thought that would be a concern. Right. Is that like? Let's say they do make the playoffs, and we'll get off this. But it's interesting because it's like, I don't know. At the end of last year, I thought nobody can contest the Lakers. There's no one who could do it. But this is the first time they're looking vulnerable, and it's not just AD getting hurt, but LeBron, the wear and tear that LeBron's going to experience from this time without AD. So it's like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of hungry teams in the West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's looking pretty crazy. So,
And it's hard to win back-to-back championships too.
Yeah, it really is. The last team, I mean, was obviously the Warriors, but
they don't count. Everyone knows they don't count.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson.
You can't win and then get KD and then
right.
Not really a back-to-back, but
well, they lost and got KD, and then they went back-to-back with KD.
Yeah. That should almost like be a ring subtraction.
They got blown because they lost to the Cavs. Draymond calls KD like, yo, join us, man. And KD's like, I need my rings, yeah.
How do you think that phone call went? D, how do you think that phone call went?
Probably like, yo, he's like, what's good? Hello? What's good, KD? How you doing, bro? What happened, bro? Y'all win? Bro, nah, bro. LeBron got us again. Damn, that LeBron, bro. Man, beat me in 2012 too, bro. Damn. I know, man. Crazy. Hold on, real quick. You a free agent, KD? Yeah. Oh, bad. All right, so I was thinking, because it's like we lost anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking like, how's Oakland sound? How's Oakland sound? We got Steph, we got Clay. I know you're sick of that dude Russell, bro. I know you can't win with that guy. And he's like, hey, damn, bro. The joint does sound nice though, but can I leave OKC like that, bro? You're never gonna win with that dude, bro. Damn, you make a good point. All right. I'm gonna get back at you, bro. That sounds good. I'm gonna hit you back up later. All right, bro. Think about it. Sleep on it, my dude. Sleep on it. All right, bet. All right.
And then KD, he went to his PS4, turned on 2K, put himself on the Warriors. He said, "Damn, this is a cheat code out here."
We are killing it. Draymond was coming. Well, Draymond could have been like, "Yo, KD, please, bro. We need you, bro. Please, man. Like, we need you to beat LeBron." He could have been begging. You never know. People say he was begging. So
dude popped crazy. In like the end of Avengers. The way this dude. So do you think what do you guys think of the era of the super team? Like, is it, I mean, obviously, most of the time super teams win, but with such little separation in the West, and even, I mean, in the East too, is that a thing? Are we back to some sort of like normalcy with like not super teams, and are super teams still like the standard for winning the rings, or how does this work?
I would say so. I would say, we're still in the heart of the super team era. I mean, we just saw one formed, obviously, in Brooklyn. The one, and generally when the super team era was first starting with, I mean, some people could say the Celtics. I would argue it was more the Heat. Celtics situation was a little different, but we can save that for another day. When it first started, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because the traditional format basically of the NBA was one star per team. For the most part, it wasn't all like that across every team. It was one or two stars max, but across most of the league, it was one star carrying their team with a bunch of role players, and we saw a lot of parity in that league. It was pretty even. You didn't really know who's going to win the ring every year. Like a 4 seed could have won it, a 6 seed could have won it, whereas once the super team era like was in full effect with the Warriors and the Cavs and everyone, it was number 1 seed win it, 1 seed wins it, 1 seed wins it every year. You know what I mean? It was, and even going into the basketball year, it would be like what, maybe 2-3 teams you would give a legit shot at winning the ring. So I didn't like it when it was first breaking out, but this year, I think there's a notable swing in the parity in the league because we're still in the era of super teams, but after the Lakers, who are they're the title favorites, after them, there's a pack of hungry teams. Not just two, not just three, not even just four. There's a lot of teams who I think have a legit shot, a puncher's chance at winning the championship, which, I never really thought was possible in the era of super teams. It could be that it got a little evened out. Now you see a little more like two-star teams instead of so many 3-star teams. So it could be that it just like naturally rebalanced itself a little bit. But star players, superstar players, they could still demand a trade. They could still build super teams. So I think we're still in that era. I like the fact though that it seems like there's a lot of parity right now. I would like to keep it like this. So it's a convenient surprise. I hope it stays that way. I hope it's not Warriors 2.0 next year, with a different team. So we'll see what happens, but I like the fact that even though there's a heavy favorite with the Lakers, that there's a whole rack of other teams that can legit win a championship this
year. Yeah. The question was, are we still in the superstar era, correct?
Yeah, super team era. Is it
super team era?
Is a super team era. Do they have? Yeah, is it because it wasn't close before? Like it was always at
right,
one point,
like
last
Warriors and Lakers.
It was like Heat. Like
yeah.
Now does it seem like it's returning to normal, or is it? What do you think the state of the NBA is?
I'm about to go off.
Hit it.
Is a return to normal? I would say slowly but surely, yeah. Will always be superstar teams around for a very long time. Do I like it? No. I think the days are past, man. I think the days are past where you had that one superstar, a whole bunch of role players, like players like AI carrying a team, Sixers team to the finals, like playing against the Lakers, who you can consider that had a superstar team. He got a game though.
Absolutely, yeah.
He got a game out of them though, but it took him like 40 points. But it's sad because I talked about this with one of my other homies about. We always talk about it on Twitter, and he's a Lakers fan, and even him, you guys know Mark Brown, even him, he doesn't like how easy it was for the Lakers last year, how they played against Miami Heat, who everybody knew he had no chance. Credit to the Heat though, they did it without a superstar. The best player was Jimmy Butler, and I don't think he's a superstar. Best all-star.
That's topic.
Yeah,
that's definitely a topic too.
Another topic we can talk about. But point is, they had a good ass coach, good organization. Pat Riley did his thing, So, and they played some good ass defense. So and I know they're in the East. East is bad, of course, especially last year. It wasn't nowhere near the West, but to still do that, very impressive. But it's going to be superstar no matter what, because players now, they feel like if they get a championship, that just helps boost their career. Maybe Hall of Fame if I keep my numbers up. They have to get that ring. They want to get that ring. They're getting desperate for the ring. It's no more beef anymore. It's no more rivalry. We talked about this in the last podcast. Like, we would never have a Spurs and Mavericks anymore. Never. We'll never have Lakers, like when it was Lakers and Boston in the finals. We'll never have that anymore, because those teams, those players, they stay on that team because they're like, I want to beat that team.
Mm-hmm.
I want to beat that team. I don't want to go join them. I want to whoop their ass. And that's something that we're missing in today's game. It's really no fire like that no more.
So Question is, do you think it'll go back to that? It'll go back to that era or not?
No, it's too soft. It's people they don't want to beef no more, man. I'm trying to say they're not really. You have some people like, okay, yeah, like we talk about Devin Booker and George Paul, a little beef going on here and there, But it's it's the way the NBA is structured now. It's if you stare at a dude, you can get ejected. Imagine you dunking the ball and you just look at the dude, you get ejected. It's no like fire. It's no more like that's out. I don't see how because it's just been too successful. Boston did it. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, KG, it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking the Heat did it. It worked. Lakers did it. It works. It just works. Now Nets, we're gonna find out if it's gonna work for the Nets. But it's been very successful, and it just takes time to get the chemistry flowing. Once you get the chemistry flowing, it's like, dang, this team has. And of course, I miss the Warriors too. But this team has. Like the Warriors, for example, they had 3 top 5 players in the league. When Klay Thompson was healthy, he was a top 5 player at that time. Arguably, okay, worst case, top 10. Stephen Curry, KD, they were top 3 players, top 2, you can even say. Like, it's too much firepower, right? But this year, it's different because now the teams... If it does feel like we're slowly starting to get better teams competing and it's getting more competitive. Teams are figuring out ways to score the ball. It's a lot more threes. It's like if I make more threes than you, then I'm gonna win the game. Pretty much, it's pretty much just outscore the other team. And do I see it going back to the way it was before, back in the maybe 90s, early 2000s? No. But do I see it being more even out where it's more competitive? Where it's not just 2 or 3 teams favored to win. It's maybe 6, 7. I can see it. Because players are getting better. They're starting to develop better. Certain players want to play with certain players. It's going to be a lot of good players in this league now. A lot of good players in this league now. And I think that's going to balance itself out in the future. And overall, it's going to be a lot more competitive, especially when LeBron retires. LeBron, he just makes teams better. So I think the NBA is in good hands, to be honest. I think that it's going to be very competitive for a very, very long time because you got some young players that are balling, and they're only going to get better in the future. And as long as they don't join up with LeBron and them or the Nets, I think that it's going to be a lot of competitive teams out there in the future. I'm not worried about the NBA. I think that it's in good hands. But yeah, for a while when it was the Warriors and Cavs, like 4 years in a row, that was bad. that was bad.
Scary. That was a scary time.
That was scary. It was a scary time. It's just like I got to the point where I almost stopped watching the NBA.
I did.
I was like, yeah.
I was like,
I remember you saying that.
I only watched the finals.
You already know who's gonna make it.
Exactly. And one thing is that I really like that teams are doing. They're doing that. I don't know the name of it. If y'all could remind me, but the contract incentive where you get paid to stay. It's like you get like the what is it called?
It's like a supermax.
The supermax, exactly.
Yeah.
The supermax extension. Like I love that. Like teams are now incentivizing play because before, right? If you're KD, and maybe that was even around during his time. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it came right after, but like, there's not that much of an incentive to stay. It's like, okay, do I win a ring or do I go and do 3 more years of Russell and I'm living in Oklahoma City. Like if y'all ever been to Oklahoma City, that place sucks. No offense. But so it's like you live there. It's like, or I can live in Oakland or San Francisco and
good point.
Win games. And it's like that's a lot of the we don't really look at it that way, but a lot of players are gonna go to places where like they want to live at the same time. So it's good
Yeah.
for like, and a lot of credit to Dame Lillard, to Giannis, who are taking these supermax contracts and going, "Hey, this is my home," and
Yeah.
it's so reminiscent of the NBA that we grew up watching,
Right.
and it's like, and it's cool. They get to make money doing it. But one thing I'll say, and this is maybe a deeper salary cap issue, but these teams got to find ways to supply help to these guys,
Mhm.
because it's like, pick your poison. Do you want to get the hate of joining a super team, but you're winning, you're having a good time? Like, if you're getting hate and you're on a super team, that's why I can't even really hate on KD too much. Just turn your phone off. Turn your phone off. Just delete Twitter, delete Instagram. Go chill on a boat with a bunch of bitches and have a great time. Like, and win rings. We saw Tom Brady and Gronk like in the Super Bowl. That's a super team. It's a different sport, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like that or loyalty. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of players make the right choice, whatever, and I think in that case, I think it's stay with your team, but I can never hate on somebody for doing it. I can never hate on somebody for wanting to leave and wanting to create a legacy. Like Damian Lillard, for example, is somebody that, of course, he wants to win rings, but he's like an Allen Iverson or like a Kevin Garnett or a Kobe or a Dirk Nowitzki or Tim Duncan. Somebody who's just like, oh, this is my home. This is what I'm going to be known as. My family's here. I'm gonna make all this money. You can't fault it. But I would like to see the teams, help out a little bit better. Get them better players. They're trying. I'm not going to say they're not trying, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
And that's why, to me, those people who do stay and do win a ring with their hometown, with the team they were drafted or the team that they stayed with a really long time, rings like that mean so much more to me than a ring when you jump to another team and join a bunch of superstars and win even multiple rings. I'm like I mean, I guess KD's case specifically, it's his rings. They're there. He can put them on his resume, but can you compare his rings to damn near anyone's rings? You can compare it to anyone's rings, anyone else's ring, and be like, yeah, that ring was harder to get. That ring was worth more. You know what I mean? LeBron's rings.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even
obviously, even Kyrie, man. Of course, I'm biased. I'm going to say Dirk. Dirk had best ring ever, in my opinion.
Maybe he's up there.
It could.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was definitely. Yeah.
Just to throw it out there. Just to throw it out there. He beat Kobe. He beat Brandon
Roy. A lot
Roy.
of good teams.
Beat LeBron.
We got to do a deep dive
Dwayne
on that.
Wade.
That's something that would be cool. We got to definitely do a deep dive on like looking back at some of the accomplishments. I feel like don't you ever think like players don't really get that much recognition like after the success? Like people that have done things. Like I was watching something about just again football, but Tom Brady and just all the teams he's beaten and stuff, and I'm just like, I completely forgot about that. Obviously, I'm not gonna forget about the Seahawks. We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
But it's just like players should get their flowers for the things that they've accomplished. We're in such
except Katie.
I will say though, I do agree that KD's rings, just don't mean as much, but
he maxed it out.
I will say
the ring out.
He did ball the fudge out though.
That's what I'm saying. He maxed the ring that he got.
Yeah, like, after getting criticized, all that pressure, you better ball.
At that moment, he was the best player on earth.
It's easier though. It's easier when you're when you have a whole other lineup of superstars ready to pick up your slack. Even though Steph was, he didn't slack, and Steph was being a little suspect some of those finals also.
Yeah.
But like it's just easier. It's a weight off your brain. It's like it's just less pressure. You don't have much pressure. Where it's
Make some
like
big shots though.
when you're the only star, like you're carrying your team. It's on your mind all the time. You're like, I have to do this. I don't have a choice. KD could afford to play a little loose because he was like, okay, I can have a off night. It might not be the end of our team.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what happens when it's like you try so hard, man. You're trying so hard year after year after year, just disappointment, and you're like, I just have to join. So LeBron did.
I just have
LeBron's
to.
like, I can't no more. I can't. Man's getting headaches every year. He's like, dude, D-Way, I need a team up with you, bro. You get Chris Bosh. I can't do this anymore by myself.
You can't be mad at LeBron. When LeBron teamed up, I can't be mad.
I give him 9 years. He tried. He made it to the finals.
No. I said I do feel bad for LeBron. Like, because he was. Do you remember that one year? Was it 2009 when he beat the Pistons? He beat the Nets. When he lost the Spurs, or 2007. That was 2007. When he beat all those teams. It's like
he got swept.
But you know what I'm saying? Coming from a 4-year pro at the time.
Yeah,
pro?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? So I don't know. I mean, granted, and this again goes back to ownership, right? Because if the owners could satisfy the players, like we mentioned, call back to an earlier topic. If the owners could satisfy the players, why would he leave?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. And what does that look like? I guess, right? Because the Bucks had like Drew Holiday, and that's a good pickup, but is that enough to? Like, I don't know. I can't believe Giannis stayed because of Drew Holiday. I can't still something I can't believe, but that's a whole different topic. Yo, we gotta have a basket of topics that like we always say that we're gonna go back to.
Back.
I feel like we're not gonna go back to any of these topics.
I know.
These are gold.
Yeah.
So
I ain't forget about the 06. I ain't forget about the 06 Mavs Phantom Files. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah, we're definitely doing that one.
We definitely need like breakdowns of certain events. We gotta do like full breakdowns of certain events. That was one of the craziest. That man got arrested. That ref. Could you imagine your ref? This man was in handcuffs after reffing.
After that game, after that final.
Oh man,
that's bad, man.
That's crazy.
Bad. Yeah.
And NBA's like, oh, sorry, Dirk. He's an MVP next season. For them to lose to the Warriors. This 07
Let's
Warriors.
not talk about that.
Come on, man. I already said we got like the first podcast we brought it up. We got to bring it up again. What is this?
That's like there's definitely gonna be recurring moments. Like, oh, and I need that. It definitely is a breakdown too. That was a crazy.
No, we're not doing that one. We're not doing
but hold on, do you remember that Warriors team real quick? Was it the next game when they played the Jazz and Baron Davis just dunked on Andre Karolinko? I'm like, yo, what's going on? What is this? Like,
this dude's on a mission.
Yeah, he's so underrated. People
sleep on Barnes. Shout out to All the Smoke. That was them.
Yeah.
And just like, yo, Jason Richardson, I'm gonna put the clip in. Jason Richardson dribbled down the court, did a spin move, and shot a deep three. Like at the end of a buzzer or something. It was like at the end of like the first quarter or something like that. My bad, Nikola. But it was just like, I guess the Mavericks. Yeah. Damn. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, what is this?
7th seed? You guys were second?
We were the first seed. They
first
were
the biggest upset in NBA history. All right, guys.
Hold on. D's acting like he got a stomach ache over there. Didn't the Spurs do the same thing?
With Ray Allen?
Or what was I tripping?
You might be tripping.
What do you mean? No, I'm not tripping. Y'all lost as the first seed. Remember?
Oh yeah, to Memphis.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty bad. But Memphis always had a number though. Memphis was always low key underrated. No, they were underrated. They were underrated. Zach Randolph, don't mess with Zach Randolph now. That boy was.
I know.
They were a tough team, man.
I know.
That's not the Warriors though. Y'all should have crushed the Warriors.
Get the
07
out of here. You know what? We might as well just end the podcast on this shit before we just start yelling at each other because
it's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's over.
It's over, guys. This is another episode of Win by Two podcast. We're out.
Deuces, man.
Peace. Yeah.
All right. End.
Check,
guys.
1, 2.
Good work,
Dang.
y'all. That was another good episode.
Yeah,
Y'all.
that was good.